Okay, I want you to close your eyes for a second, just for a moment. Picture this.
Right.
You're standing in a warehouse somewhere in South America. It is hot, it is humid, the kind of heat that, just sticks to your shirt.
I can feel it.
But the air smells incredible. It's sweet, a little acidic, kind of floral.
Pineapple.
Pineapple. In front of you is a wooden pallet, and it's stacked high with boxes. And inside those boxes are bottles of premium organic pineapple juice.
The fruit of your labor.
Yeah.
Literally.
Literally. You have spent 5 years on this. 5 years. You perfected the recipe. You argued with the bottle manufacturer about the shape of the neck.
Oh, those conversations are endless.
You designed the label yourself, and you've already conquered the local market. Everyone in your town, they drink your juice. The cafes stock it. You are a local hero.
It's that classic big fish in a small pond scenario, right?
Exactly.
It's a great feeling. But eventually, that pond starts to feel a bit cramped.
Right. And that's the moment. That's the moment we're talking about. You look at that pallet, you wipe the sweat off your forehead, and you say, next stop, the United States of America.
The big leagues.
You're going to the big leagues. You're going to export.
And that is such a massive psychological shift. That is the moment a business owner stops being just a local operator and really enters the global arena. It's exciting.
It's exciting, but it's terrifying.
Oh, absolutely.
It is terrifying because the moment you make that decision, the second you say, I'm upsporting, you are not greeted with a purchase order.
No.
You aren't greeted with a ticker tape parade. You are hit with a wall.
And it's not a physical wall, is it? It's a wall of questions.
A massive, invisible, bureaucratic wall. Suddenly having good juice just isn't enough.
It's the baseline. It gets you in the door, but that's it.
And you're bombarded. What are the FDA specs for acidity? Who is my competition in Miami versus, say, Seattle?
Are they selling concentrate or fresh?
Yeah.
What are the tariffs?
Do I need a license? Who actually imports this stuff? Is it supermarkets directly or specialized distributors?
It's paralyzing.
Mm.
We see this all the time in the trade support world. We call it the export gap. You have the product, you have the ambition, but you completely lack the map.
You are standing in the dark without a flashlight.
That's a great way to put it.
And that map, that flashlight,
Yeah.
that is exactly what we are deep diving into today. We aren't just talking about, Googling some answers. We are looking at the source material on the very architecture of trade information services.
Right. This is the science, really, of how global business actually happens. And we're going to look at two main pillars today, based on our sources.
Okay.
First, how a formal trade information service, or TIC as we'll call it, is actually built. What does the machine look like?
The nuts and bolts.
The nuts and bolts. And second, where does the fuel for that machine come from? How do we source information? And maybe more importantly, how do we distinguish between high-value intelligence and just internet garbage?
Because that is the mission today. We are taking you from I have juice to I have a contract using the power of intelligence.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so before we start, building departments and hiring people, we need to agree on what we're actually talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I think most people, and I'm definitely guilty of this, use words like data, information, and intelligence as well as synonyms.
They're interchangeable in normal conversation, sure.
Yeah, if I say I need data on the German market, what I really mean is tell me what's going on.
And if you're talking to a friend at a bar, that's totally fine. You can use them interchangeably. But in the professional world of trade support, and certainly in the training material we're looking at today, those three terms, data, information, and intelligence, are actually distinct steps on a ladder.
A ladder.
A hierarchy of value.
So one is better than the other.
It's not so much that one is better, it's that one builds on the other.
Yeah.
You can't have the top without the bottom rung, but the bottom rung on its own is, well, it's pretty useless.
Okay, let's climb the ladder then. Let's start at the bottom. What is data in this context?
So, data, or if you want to be technical, the French term is données, refers to raw, unstructured facts.
Okay.
It's the noise before you find the signal. The source material gives a perfect example. 1,700 visitors attended a trade fair in Germany.
Okay. 1,700 people. That's a fact. It's objective. I can count them. But so what?
Precisely. That is the question. So what? Was it a good fair? A bad one? Were they students just looking for free pens? Or were they CEOs looking to sign million-dollar contracts?
Were they looking for my pineapple juice, or were they there for car parts?
Exactly. The number 1700 tells you absolutely nothing actionable. That is data.
It's an ingredient, not the meal.
Perfect analogy.
Right.
Now, step 2, we move up the ladder to information. To get to this stage, we have to group that data within a context.
Give it some shape.
We have to give it shape and meaning.
Okay, so how do we turn our 1,700 people into information?
You start breaking it down. You analyze the composition of that number. So you say, of those 1,700 visitors, 40% were local Germans, 60% came from other European countries,
Okay.
and 200 of them were first-time visitors.
Okay, now I'm starting to see a picture. It's an international fair, not just some local meetup.
Right.
And there's fresh, blood-new potential clients. That's actually helpful context.
It is helpful. It gives you a description of reality, but it's still looking backward.
What do you mean?
It tells you what happened. It doesn't necessarily tell you what will happen or, more importantly, what you should do about it.
I see.
For that, we need the final step, the top of the ladder, the gold standard, and that's intelligence or renseignement.
This is the so what factor you were talking about.
This is the so what factor, exactly. This is where we analyze the significant elements to detect threats or, opportunities. Intelligence allows you to predict the future behavior of the market and make a strategic move.
Okay, so give me the intelligence version of our German trade fair.
The intelligence version says, German buyers have the liquidity to pay 15% more than last year for organic products.
Ooh, okay, that's interesting.
Furthermore, 2 major German buyers just signed exclusive contracts with our main competitor.
A threat.
A threat. However, a potential client is about to launch a new retail chain specifically for certified organic products.
Whoa. Okay. That is a completely different ballgame.
You see the difference?
It's a huge difference.
Yeah.
Data was people showed up. Information was Europeans showed up. But intelligence is there is a specific opening for my organic products, but I have a direct threat from a competitor, and I need to target the specific new retail chain immediately.
Intelligence is actionable. You can write a strategy based on intelligence. You absolutely cannot write a strategy based on 1,700 people.
So why doesn't everyone just skip to the intelligence? I mean, why bother with the data?
Because you can't. It's impossible.
Yeah.
You need the raw data to verify the information, and you need the information to synthesize the intelligence. It's a process, a necessary one.
Yeah.
But the mistake most businesses make, and we see it all the time, is stopping at step 2.
They stop at information.
They get the report, they see the nice charts, and they think they're done. But they haven't done the analysis. They haven't asked, so what does this mean for me?
It seems like the job of a trade expert or even a savvy business owner is basically being a translator. You're translating these raw numbers into a business strategy.
That's a great way to put it.
Right.
And to do that translation effectively, you need to understand the vocabulary of trade.
Right.
And this brings us to another area where the source material is very specific and where, real life gets a bit messy.
The terminology.
We hear phrases like business information, market information, and trade information thrown around constantly.
I have to admit, I would probably use those interchangeably too.
Yeah.
I mean, trade info just sounds like a catch-all for everything involving, shipping stuff across a border.
And it often is. Trade information, or information commercial, is frequently used as the umbrella term. But strictly speaking, if we're building a system to help exporters, we need to know which bucket our questions fall into. The source breaks this down into 3 distinct pillars.
Okay, lay out the 3 pillars for us.
So pillar number 1 is business information d'affaires.
Okay.
This is focused entirely on the actors. It's all about the who.
So this isn't about the country, it's about the companies within the country.
Exactly. It's contact details for suppliers, importers, wholesalers, retailers. It's their product portfolios. It's knowing that Company A just merged with Company B.
So if you're asking, who can I sell to, or who is trying to kill my business?
Then you are looking for business information. Think of it as the ultimate Rolodex, but with, a lot more context.
Got it. The who. What's the second pillar?
The second is market information de marché. This focuses on trends and mechanics, the where and the how much.
Okay, this sounds a lot like traditional market research.
It is. It's market studies, supply and demand trends, price elasticity, identifying that, say, organic juice consumption is rising by 5% in California is market information.
So it deals with the behavior of the arena itself, not just the players in it.
Right. It's the weather report for the business climate.
I like that. So we have the actors, which is business, and the arena, which is market. What is the third one?
The third is the strict definition of trade information commercial. This focuses on global transactions and rules.
The rules of the game.
That's it. It's the rules of the game.
The bureaucracy
And
for red tape.
the essential framework. It's tariffs, international exchange rates, free trade agreements, non-tariff barriers, those tricky labeling laws. If you don't know the trade information, it doesn't matter how well you know the business or market info,
Why is that? Why is it so fundamental?
because you might be legally barred from even entering the country, or you could be taxed so heavily that your profit margin vanishes before the ship even leaves the port. You can have the best buyer in the world. That's your business info. In the hottest market in the world, your market info. But if there is a 40% tariff, that's your trade info, you have no business.
Yeah.
The deal is dead.
That makes perfect sense. So while we often just say trade information to mean the whole thing, technically, commerce arises from the behavior of markets and businesses operating within those specific trade rules.
Correct. And a good trade information service, the thing we are building today, it needs to provide all three. You can't just give someone a phone number and wish them luck. You have to give them the context and the rules.
Which is a perfect segue. We've defined the stuff, the data, the info, the intelligence, and all the categories. Now, where does this work actually happen? The source material talks about creating a trade information center or a TIC.
Right. And it's important to visualize this correctly. A TIC isn't just a dusty library in a government basement with some old encyclopedias and a fax machine.
That was my mental image, honestly. A government office with bad lighting and a person just stamping forms all day.
And sadly, it can be that, but it shouldn't be. Ideally, a TIE is a specialized dynamic unit.
Okay.
Usually it's housed within a larger trade support institution like a Ministry of Commerce or an export promotion agency, but it has its own dedicated budget, its own staff, and its own mission. It's an operational unit. I almost think of it like a newsroom.
A newsroom, I like that. And the source outlines a very specific workflow for this unit, what it calls the cycle of information.
Yes, and it's a continuous loop. Step one is collection. That's gathering the data from all over the world.
Step one, get the stuff.
Get the stuff. Step two is processing. This is the magic step. This is where we turn that data into intelligence. And step three is dissemination.
Getting it to the people who need it.
And this is key, that dissemination has to be timed correctly.
Yeah.
The source makes a really interesting distinction here regarding cycle speed.
What, like fast food versus slow food?
Sort of, yeah. Some information is fast cycle. For example, a business alert. Let's say a government tender opens for 50,000 liters of pineapple juice for the New York school system.
Oh, wow.
And the bid closes in 48 hours.
You can't publish that in a quarterly magazine. It's
Can't.
completely useless by then.
No. That needs an SMS, an email blast, an immediate push notification to the relevant exporters. That's rapid dissemination.
Okay.
On the other hand, a full market profile of the U.S. beverage sector, that takes weeks to research and write. That's slow cycle dissemination. A good TIC has to be agile enough to handle both the sprint and the marathon.
There's another concept regarding the TIC that I found really beautiful. The source describes trade information as a two-way highway. The French term was la portée.
Yes, this is critical, and it's where a lot of countries get it wrong.
How so?
Often, governments think of these centers only as outbound engines. Their whole focus is, how do we help our guys sell stuff abroad?
Helping our pineapple juice guy get to America, that seems like the main job.
It is a big part of the job,
Yeah.
a huge part. But the highway goes the other way, too. There's inbound information. Foreign investors, importers, international organizations, they want to know about your country.
So the tech is also the marketing department for the home team.
In a way, yes. It's the front window. If a U.S. investor is looking for a place to build a new juice processing plant in South America, they aren't going to guess. They're going to look for hard data on your local production capacity, your labor laws, your infrastructure.
And the tech has to provide that.
A TIC needs to provide information about local opportunities to the outside world.
So it's a window for the world to look in as well as a telescope for locals to look out.
That's a lovely analogy, yes. And because of that dual role, the client list is huge. It's not just exporters.
Right.
It's manufacturers, government bodies doing policy, researchers, universities, even the internal departments of the trade support institution itself rely on this data to make their own decisions.
It really is the brain of the whole commercial ecosystem.
It is.
But a brain needs neurons. It needs
Yeah.
people. Let's talk about the human factor.
The source is very emphatic about this. There is a huge temptation, especially right now in 2026, to think, well, we have the internet, we have AI, we have algorithms, we don't need people.
Just let the AI scrape the web and give me the report. It's cheaper, it's faster, it never sleeps.
But the source argues that while identifying sources is step one, creating that value-added intelligence, that translation we talked about earlier requires specific human skills.
There was a quiz in the source material about the ideal skills for a trade intelligence officer. And one of the points really surprised me. It explicitly said that while IT skills are useful, simply being good at the internet is not the key competence.
Correct, and that's so important. Being a techie isn't enough. You can be a wizard at finding data, but if you don't understand business, if you don't understand the context, you won't know what matters.
So what are the core skills they identified?
Things like curiosity, a logical mind, and the capacity for synthesis.
Synthesis. That seems to be the word of the day.
It is. Can you look at a tariff table from the WTO, a consumer trend report from a trade journal, and a competitor's price list from their website, and synthesize that into a single coherent recommendation?
Here's what you should do.
Here's what you should do. That's not an IT skill. That's a deep analytical skill. It's about connecting dots that don't look like they are connected.
They also listed soft skills, things like initiative, pragmatism, team spirit. It sounds like they are looking for a detective mixed with a diplomat.
A pragmatic detective. That's the perfect description. Because you can get lost in the data. You can research something forever. You need the pragmatism to say, okay, this is enough info to make a decision. Let's move.
So we have our pragmatic detectives, we have our trade information center, and now they need to go hunting. This brings us to the ecosystem of sources. If I'm sitting at my desk in this center, where do I actually look for the answers?
The source material categorizes sources in a few different ways. The first way is by origin, basically, who is publishing this. And there are three main players here.
Okay, who are the big three?
First, you have government and institutional organizations.
Yeah.
This is your customs offices, your ministries of commerce, national statistical offices.
The official folks, the ones with the government stamps on their documents.
Right. And they are usually the ultimate authority on the hard numbers.
Right.
If you want export statistics, you don't guess. You go to customs, they literally counted the boxes. They know exactly how many tons of pineapple left the port last year.
Okay. So that's player one. Who's the second?
Player two is the international and regional organizations. The heavy hitters. The World Bank, the WTO, the IMF, the FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization.
These guys are great for the macro picture, right? The big global trends.
Exactly. If you want to know global pineapple production trends over the last decade, you go to the FAO. They track every pineapple on Earth, basically. They aggregate data from all the national governments to give you that planetary view.
Got it. And the third player?
The third player is commercial publishers.
The private sector.
Right. Companies like Reuters, KPMG, Bureau van Dijk, the Economist Intelligence Unit, these are businesses that exist solely to sell information. Their data is often highly specialized, very detailed, but usually comes with a pretty hefty price tag.
So that's the who. What about the how? The media format, I mean, obviously online is the 800-pound gorilla in the room.
It is. The internet is the most dynamic, powerful source we have. It includes not just websites, but social media, blogs, RSS feeds. But the source material gives a big warning here about information overload.
Right. Just because it's online doesn't mean it's good.
Or even true. And interestingly, the source makes a strong case for the value of print.
Paper. Really? In this day and age, are we talking about actual books?
Yes, it seems counterintuitive, doesn't it?
Hmm.
But the source notes that the printing sector is still widely used and valuable. And here's why. Some publishers prefer it. It allows them to control access to their content much more tightly. You can't just copy-paste an entire physical directory or a specialized high-end newsletter as easily as you can a web page. High-value, exclusive intelligence often still lives on paper or in restricted digital formats that are basically just PDFs of a printed page.
That's a good point. If it's too easy to access, then everybody has it and it loses its competitive value. If I have the book and you don't, I win.
Exactly. Scarcity creates value. Then you have other media like TV and radio.
Okay.
These are good for breaking news, context, the general mood of a market. If there's a strike at the Port of Los Angeles, you might hear it on the radio hours before you see it in a statistical report.
But there's one category in the source that I found absolutely fascinating. Tacit knowledge. The French was connaissances tacites.
Ah, yes. This is my favorite. This is the stuff you can't Google.
It sounds mysterious. What is tacit knowledge?
Tacit knowledge is the informal, unwritten knowledge. It's based on intuition, culture, experience. It's what you know simply from being there.
So it's not in a report, it's not in a database.
No, it's the knowledge that a local distributor has in his head about which retailer pays on time and which one is always 90 days late. It's the vibe of a business culture. It's knowing that in culture A, when they say yes, it really means maybe, and in culture B, when they say maybe, it absolutely means no.
I see.
The source calls it the bedrock, the foundation upon which all other knowledge is built,
It's the street smarts, and you can't get that from a spreadsheet. You have to talk to people.
which is why events, trade fairs, salons, conferences are listed as their own unique source. A trade fair isn't just about showing off your products. It's a gold mine of tacit knowledge.
Ow!
You hear the gossip in the hallways, you see who is talking to whom, you see which booths are packed and which ones are empty. That is intelligence. Pure gold.
So the advice is, don't just read the report. Go to the party.
In a professional sense, yes,
Yep.
absolutely go to the party. Listen to what isn't being said on the microphone.
Okay, so we know where to look. We've got the government stats, the international reports, the expensive commercial data, and the gossip from the trade fair.
A lot of inputs.
A lot. But now we face the biggest challenge of the modern age. We found a document. Ideally, it tells us exactly what we want to hear. Americans love your pineapple juice. Prices are skyrocketing. But is it true?
The challenge of trust, as the source bluntly puts it. Not everything on the internet is reliable.
Shocking, I know, but how do we actually filter it? Because bad information is so much worse than no information at all.
Absolutely. If you act on bad info, you lose money, you lose time, you lose credibility. To navigate this, the training material provide a specific toolkit 5 criteria for acting like a detective.
Okay.
We call them the evaluation criteria.
Let's run through the checklist. Criterion number 1.
Authority.
If-
Who wrote this? Who is behind this information?
Go to the source.
Exactly. Official is better. You look for the domain extension on a website. Is it .gov, .org, .edu? These are indicators of institutional backing.
Right.
So if you are looking for export statistics, a document from the U.S. Customs website is authoritative. A blog post from JuiceFan99 is not.
JuiceFan99 might have great taste, but I wouldn't bet my business strategy or my bank loan on his data.
Precisely. Identification of the editor, of the publisher, is essential. If you can't tell who published the data, you can't trust the data. If the website is anonymous, treat the data as fiction. Full stop.
Okay, that's clear. Criterion number 2.
Accuracy. Now, this is a bit nuanced. A source doesn't have to be complete to be accurate, but it must be precise in what it does offer.
How do you spot accuracy? What are the tells?
You look for the receipts. Does the report cite its primary sources for the graphs and tables? Is there a bibliography? Does it warn you that these figures are estimates based on a preliminary survey? A reliable source will admit its own limitations.
So humility is a sign of accuracy.
Often, yes. Transparency is key.
Yeah.
If a report claims to know the exact future with 100% certainty, it's probably lying. If I see a graph with no source listed at the bottom, I get suspicious immediately. Where did these numbers come from? Do you just make them up?
Okay. Criterion number 3. This feels like a big one. Objectivity.
Neutrality. You have to constantly be on the lookout for bias. The source gives a great scenario here to illustrate this.
Let's hear it.
Imagine you're researching a new bottling machine for your juice factory. You go online and you find a lot of reviews. 50% are glowing, 5-star reviews. 50% are terrible, 1-star, negative reviews.
A very polarized product.
There. Then you look closer.
Yeah.
The 50% favorable reviews are all from the manufacturer's own brochures and their sponsored blog posts.
Oh.
And the 50% negative reviews are from actual users on independent forums.
Oof. So the only people saying it's good are the people who are selling it.
Correct. That is a massive, massive red flag. Objectivity means finding neutral sources. If the only positive information comes from the seller, you do not trust the product. You have to ask yourself, why was this written? Was it written to inform me, or was it written to sell me something?
That's a really clear lesson. Always check who stands to profit from the information. Okay, criterion number 4.
Timeliness, or, as the source also calls it, sûreté or freshness. Information has an expiration date.
Like milk.
Exactly like milk. But different types of info spoil at different rates.
Explain that. What do you mean?
Well, take fashion. A fashion trend forecast from 2 years ago is completely useless today. It's rotten milk. The colors have changed, the cuts have changed, it's over. But a geological study on soil composition for growing pineapples from last year, that's likely still perfectly valid.
Right. Nature moves a lot slower than fashion.
Exactly. So you have to ask 2 questions. When was this updated? And does the age matter for this specific topic? A census report can be good for 10 years. A stock price is good for maybe 10 seconds. You have to contextualize the date.
And the final criterion, number 5.
Specialization. Stay in your lane.
This is the general store warning.
Yes. If you find a website that offers global trade statistics right next to daily horoscopes and the latest sports scores, run away fast. A reliable source usually demonstrates deep expertise in a specific field. They stick to what they know. If they try to be everything to everyone, they're usually nothing to anyone. High-quality trade information usually comes from organizations that only do trade information. It's their entire reason for being.
That brings up a question about access and cost. We touched on free versus paid sources earlier. There's a natural assumption, you get what you pay for. If it's free, it must be low quality.
And the source material explicitly busts this myth. It poses the question, does free mean bad? And the answer is definitively no.
That feels counter-capitalist. Why is the free stuff good?
For two main reasons. First, you have to look at the mandate of international organizations. Groups like the UN, the International Trade Center, the World Bank, they have a mission to promote global economic development.
Right.
They spend millions and millions of dollars collecting extremely high-quality data, and they release it for free because that is their job. They aren't trying to make a profit from the data. They're trying to make the world work better.
So you are getting premium data that has already been paid for by member states.
Exactly. It's subsidized intelligence. You've already paid for it with your taxes, effectively.
Okay, what's the second reason?
The second reason applies to the private sector. The commercial publishers often release freemium content. They'll give you samples, summaries, older reports.
A free trial, basically.
A free trial to prove their quality. If a well-known agency like KPMG or Deloitte releases a free report, it's going to be good because it's their calling card, it's their marketing. They can't afford to put out junk.
So verify the source, not the price tag.
Precisely. Never dismiss a source just because it's free, provided it comes from a reputable authority.
Before we move on, I want to touch on one more practical skill mentioned in the source, cross-referencing. What happens when two reliable sources seem to disagree?
This happens all the time. It's a great question. The source gives a specific example. Let's say you're looking for trade stats between Australia and the rest of the world. You have data from UN ComMTrade, which is the big UN global trade database, and you also have data directly from the Australian Customs Service website. Which one is reliable?
I would assume the Australian Customs Service is the primary source, so they might be better. They're the ones doing the counting.
You're on the right track. The answer is both are reliable, but one might be fresher. ComMTrade compiles national reports, so they get their data from the Australian government. But there might be a lag in that process. The National Customs site might be updated monthly, while the UN site is only updated annually.
So it's the same data, just at different points in the pipeline.
Exactly. So you cross-reference to check for consistency. If the numbers are wildly different, that's a red flag, and you need to investigate why. If they're close, you should probably prioritize the primary source, the national one, for timeliness.
Okay, we have built our center, we have hired our pragmatic detective, we have our list of sources, and we have our 5-point checklist to vet them. Now, let's bring it all back home. Back to South America. Back to our pineapple juice.
The juice conundrum.
Our exporter is still staring at that wall of questions. How do they apply this whole strategy to actually break through it?
Well, they need to stop looking for just answers and start mapping their specific questions to the categories of trade information we discussed. They need to fill the buckets.
I like that. Fill the buckets. Let's walk through it. Bucket number 1, market trends.
The first question here is just, is there a market for my juice? So the exporter starts looking for things like, how much juice do Americans drink per capita? What's the trend for organic versus non-organic? Who are the big distributors? Is it a monopoly or fragmented?
And where are they looking for that?
They're checking the FAO stats for production and consumption, and they're looking for market reports from specialized beverage industry journals.
Okay. Bucket 2, regulations.
This is the deal-breaker bucket. The exporter needs to find out, what certificates does the FDA require? What are the exact labeling laws for nutritional information in the U.S.?
That seems critical.
It is. If you send a whole container of juice with the wrong label, it can get seized and destroyed at the border. Game over. So they check the official U.S. government sites, the FDA, and the Customs and Border Protection websites.
Bucket 3, market access.
This is the cost calculation bucket. The big question is there a free trade agreement between my country and the U.S.? If so, is the tariff 0%? If not, is it 10%, 20%?
Because that changes the final price point completely.
Completely. It can make or break the entire business model. For this, they check the WTO tariff database or a guide published by their local TI.
Bucket 4, opportunities.
This is the active lead generation bucket. They're looking for active leads. Are there any public business alerts? Are there any tenders for juice supply to hospitals or schools or military bases?
And for that, they check.
They check tender aggregator websites, and they sign up for those business alerts we mentioned earlier from the local trade information center.
And finally, bucket 5, contacts.
The who bucket. Who are the freight forwarders who specialize in refrigerated transport? That's not a small detail.
Not at all.
Where is the Beverage World Trade Fair happening next year? They use the online directories and trade fair listings to find the people and places they need to be.
So by systematically filling these 5 buckets with verified intelligence, not just random data they found online, the exporter moves from, I really hope this works, to, I have a strategy.
Exactly. They aren't guessing anymore. They are executing a plan based on intelligence. They know the price, they know the rules, and they know the potential buyers. They have turned the light on in that dark room.
So we've unpacked a lot today. We moved from the raw data of 1,700 visitors at a trade fair to the actionable intelligence of specific buyer behavior.
From the what to the so what.
We built a trade information center that acts as a two-way highway, serving both locals and the world. We learned to hunt for sources across government, international, and commercial sectors.
And crucially, we learned to vet them like a detective, always checking for authority, objectivity, accuracy, timeliness, and specialization.
It's a comprehensive toolkit.
It really is.
And I want to leave our listeners with a final thought, something that came up in the source material about the internet. It says the internet democratizes access to information because the cost is so low.
Which is true. It absolutely leveled the playing field. A small business in South America can access the same core UN data as a massive conglomerate in New York.
But it also creates a noise problem, a huge noise problem.
And that is the paradox of the information age. In a world where everyone has access to the same data, where your competitor in Thailand can see the same UN trade stats that you can in South America, the competitive advantage is no longer just having the information.
Right. It used to be that having the book was the advantage. If I had the encyclopedia and you didn't, I won.
Now, everyone has the book.
Yeah.
Everyone has the encyclopedia. The advantage is having the human skill to read, to synthesize it, and to turn it into intelligence faster and better than the other guy.
So the trade intelligence officer.
That role is more valuable now than ever before, precisely because there's too much information out there.
The filter is more valuable than the source.
That's it. The ability to connect the dots. That's the new gold.
Well, on that note, we hope you've managed to filter some value out of this deep dive. Keep digging, keep synthesizing, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.
Goodbye, everyone.